is my van, Penny. This is my pup, Talkeetna. After college, I took a year off to go do some unpaid internships to explore the world and discover myself. So I ended up moving to New Zealand for a year. While I was there, I was living out of a tent and I saw all these super cool van conversions. I just got really inspired by what people were doing with such little material and such little space. After the year was up, I came back to Washington and I moved to Seattle and I got the big kid job. I got the 9 to 5, the office, big apartment, the whole thing. And, oh, bye-bye. I was home for Christmas, and one day we were driving through this lot because my mom was thinking about getting a new car at the time. And on the way out of the lot, I just yelled, "Stop the car!" We jumped out of the car, and I saw this van parked like way in the back. My mom encouraged me actually to call the dealer and see if it was for sale. And I was just like, "Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's not how this works." And so she called. Thanks, Mom. The dealer said it's not for sale, it's just in for service, but we'll let the owner know that there's an interested buyer. So then about a week later, my mom calls me. She says, "Okay, the owners are willing to sell that van that you saw. Here's the number." And it ended up being this older couple. They went on one road trip to Glacier National Park, and his wife hated it. She hated van life. She basically said, "I'll never get back in this thing again." He loved the van, so he just kept it nice and putzed with it himself. So I bought it, and then I went home the next weekend and looked at it. It had 4,000 miles on it. The plastic was still on the floors and the fridge had never been used. I mean, it was just completely the find of a lifetime. And I wasn't even really actively looking, but when Penny fell into my lap, I just knew that it was van destiny. And I think it's really funny how van people really talk about their vans like they're people. She's my 2000 Eurovan, and she's my 17 feet of home, and I love her. But I love you more. Most days. I bought the van with this all installed. So I get that question sometimes where people will be like, "Did you make this modification?" And I didn't. I worked for REI before I was in the van, so all my stuff is like camp oriented. So I have all these kind of like folding utensils. This is my pantry. I got my cutting board, top shelf, dishes, folding pans, AeroPress, which is crucial. I don't actually know what's in this fridge, so we'll see. It's a pretty good fridge right now. Salsa, a beer, some eggs. I have a freezer though, so that's cool. With one salmon burger in it, and a Go-Gurt. That's van life. This is my cooking area. I installed this with my dad. My dad helped me out with a lot of the modifications in the van. This is my spice rack, and then when I'm ready to cook, just pop this open, and voila. This is sick, this thing here, because it's really easy just like to season things as you're cooking. Oh, this is my table, but my dad made this for me, which I like. I just clip this in. Dinner time, or cocktail hour. When I first got the van, everything was gray. And the first trip I ever took it on, I got sick and I was in Yosemite and it was raining. And I had to stay in the van and just be sick and watch a lot of Grey's Anatomy. And I got really depressed because it was so gray. And so one of the big things when I decided to move into the van full time was to put as much color into it as I could. I reupholstered my seats. I choose to sleep down here because a lot of times I'm camped in urban areas and you're never gonna get away with pretending no one's in here if you have a pop top. I always make sure that my driver's seat's clear. So I have the keys. Whenever I sleep, I have the keys right here with my knife. And I keep this pretty much ready so that if something happened or there was a really sketchy situation, that I could literally just like hop up here and go, you know? So I think that that's something that I do for safety. Oh, I have something else I want to show you guys that's really cool. I made this. This is my urban camping Modesty sheet. So it's black in the front. And then I got this cool little mountain tapestry and sewed that on the other side. I just Velcro this right up here. Got it like just blacks out everything. And then you're looking at a pretty mountain. So come back to the van. This means the mountains call in German. People ask me all the time. Both my parents are German. That's why I rock the Germany sticker so strong. This is my solar setup. It is a 120 watt semi-flexible solar panel that I bought on Amazon. It weighs 4 pounds and it arcs 30 degrees in either direction. And it's sick. And so when I first was thinking about doing solar, I knew I had to do it because I knew I wanted to be kind of off the grid and not reliant on power a lot. And I have a gigantic 2-lay box that wouldn't allow me to put the panel on the top. So it's not really attached to anything, so I can move it wherever the sun is. I have attached it to the back in this very not professional or German way. So I just literally bungee cord this thing to the back. I can just open it. I have 15 feet of cable for my solar panel. And then when I'm not using it, I just kind of tuck it in here. I have my charge controller and my inverter. Then I got my batteries, a whole battery bank back there. But when I lower the top on the pop, the canvas will stick out, and I had to replace it because it molded out and then ripped. And I spent a lot of money on it, so now I'm really paranoid about it. So I'm always like tucking this in. This is what I'm talking about. See this? Don't want that, because it'll mold and then you have to pay $800. I'll just stick this in here. You know, sometimes it's easier than others. There we go, nice. So I travel full-time in the van by myself as a girl, and the reason why I did this trip by myself was I saw all my friends getting partners or kind of staying in jobs that they didn't love. I didn't really want to sit and wait around for my job to get better or for me to find the right person in order to start living the life I wanted. I think that the biggest misconception about van life for women is that it's super, super scary and you always have to be on your guard. And while I would say that you definitely do have to be more careful, I think that you see couples out there, you see guys out there, and it seems like it's gonna be this big, scary world. It's safer than you think it is, and people will surprise you. Take you down, take your heart away. Don't let them take you down, take your love away. The loneliness of life on the road, I think, is something people don't talk about. And when you think about the happiest times in your life, at least I think about feeling connected and appreciated and valued. And when you're alone in your car all the time, it can be really easy to kind of fall into these patterns of not wanting to communicate with people or just isolating yourself. I think that in our world, at least when I was living in Seattle, I was always inadvertently numbing myself. You know, I always had something else to do. I always had another meeting, or I had another happy hour, and all these things that I think people in their 20s do, and you don't really realize that you're kind of numbing yourself to the experience of your life. To really be alone and to allow myself that feeling was a huge turning point, not only in this trip, but also kind of within my own life. To know that it's okay to be sad. I think finding home in solitude is a really special thing. And I think that this kind of life forces you to do that. That's just a gift of the road.